Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. What's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? I'm going to give a moment for everyone to join in. Hopefully we have some live views coming in a little bit later on today. So I'm going to get some people in here. Hold on one second. Let me just make sure we have everything set up correctly. I don't know what this is. Okay. Okay. All right. So we should be good now, inshallah. All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, everyone. I have been busy. So we are in the studio now. This is the newer studio that we set up for the Mad Mamluks. And I will be using this also temporarily right now until I get everything else set up. But right now, this is going to be the studio. So today, before we get started, make sure you subscribe, or if it's your first time here, but make sure you hit the like button so we can go and get this on the algorithms out there, because people may not know that it is live. Let me just tweet out right now and that I'm live so everyone can jump in onto the stream. I can let them know that we're live, just so I can get everyone in here. Sorry, it's kind of hard to do this without a team, right? You gotta do everything yourself, huh? All right. So in the meantime, okay, hold on. I am live. Okay. All right, perfect. All right. So anyways, so we're gonna go ahead and do a quick live stream today. We're gonna be talking about Bitcoin, and I'm gonna be talking about the new pump that's happening. A lot of people last time looked into the Bitcoin episode I did, and they were curious to know why I was into Bitcoin, and they had a lot of questions. And now there's a lot of talk around Bitcoin in general. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, Imad and Master Note. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Welcome, guys. I think it generated a lot of buzz. People were wondering why we are going into Bitcoin, and some people were asking whether it's haram or it's halal or this and that. So I think we were able to cover a lot of the bases there. For those of you that also want to have a conversation, there is a new application called I think it's called Clubhouse. Yes. And it is only available for iPhones right now, but it is available on the iPhone or iTunes Store or iStore, whatever the App Store. But there are plenty of conversations that are happening there. I was in a live conversation with Sheikh Joe Bradford, and there was a crypto expert in there, and we were talking about all the different scenarios that would make something halal and haram. And in general, I think what most of them were saying is that Bitcoin as a principle, and as it is right now, is considered to be halal. I'm not a sheikh, so if you want to go to a sheikh, go to somebody you trust, but I've trusted them. And also, I think AMJA has also, the American Council for the Jurist has basically also said that Bitcoin in and of itself, I don't know about other cryptocurrencies, but Bitcoin in itself is halal to invest into. So I invest with a clear conscience. But Bitcoin is pumping right now. It did have a high back in February 26th at 58,300 something. Today we're almost at $58,000, and it's going to be you know what I mean? Like, it'll be probably, I assume it's going to break about, I think we'll see something around $70,000 in a week. I mean, within this time, I think we'll see it there. But Bitcoin is really making moves right now. There are a lot of activities around, the markets and what people want to see. As far as investments, there are Wall Street's getting involved. There are big banks getting involved. There are people all around the world right now, even Fortune 500 companies, that are talking about making Bitcoin part of their portfolio and making it part of, what they do out there. And I think that's a very important move, because that is a step in trying to normalize the way that Bitcoin is perceived. And I think we've had a lot of conversations, especially with some of my team members, and we were talking, and I think the only way Bitcoin is really going to make major moves is if the traditional boomers understand what Bitcoin is. Like, for example, if I go over and tell them, here, this is a stock, we're going to invest in it, we're going to make money. They don't, they get it. They know it's something that makes money. It's an investment. They know how it works. There's dividends and so forth and so on. But with Bitcoin, they just don't know how it works. They don't know whether you can use it, whether you can take your money out. Is it like gold? Can you hold it? There's a lot of unanswered questions that the boomers have around Bitcoin. When you see boomers being comfortable with Bitcoin, right, then you're going to know that this is when this is taking off big time. And I'm talking about like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, it's going to be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions. And I think that'll happen very, very soon. Right now, if you look at it, in the world, there's only 2% of the people that hold Bitcoin in the world today. So if you hold Bitcoin, if you hold that stuff, consider yourself a 2%er. You know what I mean? Like that is an absolute, you're ahead of the curve. Yes, people feel bad because they could have brought in when it was like pennies or dollars or a few $100, but you're still not too late. In my opinion, if you hold 0.01 Bitcoin today and you hold that on for 10 to 15 years, maybe even less, like 10 years, 9 years, it'll be worth a lot of money. Let me just go into a question here. Do you think it will be wise to sell at 70,000 and then buy a future dip? Well, I always think it is wise to take profits at new highs. That is a strategy that I had to learn very early on. And because of the fact that, the idea is that early on when Bitcoin rose very high, we had a greedy mentality, right? Like, oh, it's going to keep going higher and higher. And we never sold, right? But the idea is that, in my opinion now, whenever I hit new highs, I sell at about, I take 20% profit, 30%, depending on what you have in your portfolio. And I keep my rest of that in the holding. I don't like to try to take away, because I know my long-term strategy for Bitcoin is to hold. I know eventually it's going to be worth a lot of money, but you also want to take profits, right? It would be silly not to. You have to understand what the stop losses are. Like, where the markets are going. If it drops below a certain moving average, a daily moving average, and it drops below that, you want to start taking profits. So a little bit below that, you would want to take profits. That means there's a bear coming, and you probably want to take your money out and, put it back in and buy in when there's a time to buy it when it's lower. But those are all, trading techniques, and you can find numerous people on YouTube that will teach you how to trade Bitcoin. It's all a strategy and how you view it. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Fatuma, alhamdulillah, he's doing much better. Jazakallah khair for asking. Shahids, the ulama, haq ulama as-su, what is the sign according to the hadith? Well, I don't think we, I don't know if there's a hadith about Bitcoin in itself, but we do know that there will be agents of Dajjal and things like that. But from what we can see right now, for something to be haram, my understanding, for something to be haram according to the Shari'i perspective, there has to be something implicit. It has to be mentioned. I think the general ruling is, and I'm not a sheikh, but the general ruling is that when it comes to ibadah, everything is considered to be a bid'ah or haram unless it's proven from the sunnah. And outside from everything else, meaning in daily affairs and things like that, outside of ibadah, everything is halal until proven haram. So I'm waiting. From the ulama that I've seen, I don't see any when they have an issue with Bitcoin. And the ones that actually understand it, they really don't have an issue. Clubhouse is a Qatari intervention. I had no idea what it was, but apparently there's a lot of good conversations on there. What can you do, right? I do know there's a lot of crazy things on there. We're going to talk about Clubhouse in a little bit, so we'll come back to that, Master. No, I don't know if you're being serious or just trolling or not, but we'll get to Clubhouse in a little bit. Let me see here. Where can you see the moving? So I use bit chart, crypto charts. I use CoinGecko. I use CoinDesk, you can see these different tickers, and you can see the EMA. You can see like if you look in the charts, like there is a app that I use specifically. There's one called Bar Charts that I like to use. There's also another one that I specifically use on my iPhone called Bit Screener. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I like to use this one. I don't know if it'll zoom in or not, or autofocus or not, but it's called Bit Screener. And I like it because it gives you the everyday, and then you can kind of turn it, you can make it full screen and then turn it sideways, and you can start looking at the EMA and the volume, and you can put on overlays on top that will help you look at what what are the market trends. But I would say that if you want tutorials on that, you can go over to YouTube, and there are many other YouTubers who will give you tutorials on that. Let's go on to the next. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let me see here more. Please let me know if leverage trading is halal, and also staking and earning interest is halal. Please let me know. So first of all, I'm not a scholar on this. So I can't really give you a fatwa on this. But leverage trading, it depends on how you do it. There are certain areas where there could be interest, so you have to be very careful. My understanding is that if it involves muraba'ah or riba, we stay away from it because it's haram. But there are certain areas and trades where you have to. I think there are certain platforms, for example, on Femex, where if you liquidate a position before a 8-hour window, they have 8-hour or 6-hour windows they use. If you liquidate a position before 6 hours, there is no interest paid. There are other platforms that have different ideas, and you have to double check. But we'll have to maybe ask Sheikh Amir or Sheikh Joe Bradford, who's on Clubhouse or even on Twitter and other places, to talk about that a little bit more, because they're kind of they're big in finance. With regards to staking. See, staking is different, and yield, and the yield's a little bit different too, because the term interest is used in crypto, but it's not really interest in staking. In staking, they call it interest because people understand that, but it's not traditionally interest or riba as we understand in the Shari'i perspective. What it is when you're staking, what happens is that you are using your coin as a part of their verification. So you are leaving it there to validate transactions. So as a reward for you leaving your token with them, in these stake models that we're talking about, they will reward you for your assistance in that. And so therefore they call it interest because people are used to calling it interest, right? Because of CDs and things like that, right? And bank accounts, and because they can't really understand the concept of crypto. But in that scenario, staking is not what we would consider to be riba in the sense of the Islamic meaning usury, where you're making money from money. That's not how it works, because keep in mind, guys, that blockchain in of itself is a technology. It has a use case, it has a benefit, and there are different blockchains for different technologies and different applications. It is applied for different intentions. So the idea is that you want to be able to understand that this is not only just money, right? Like people use it to secure information, to store information, to validate from different peer-to-peer networks. There's a lot of use for blockchain technology. So you can be rewarded for keeping your stake there and then making or becoming part of the system, the validation system, right? I don't believe that it is in that case with Sam, but we'll have to. There are some crypto experts. There are some people I will tell you who to follow. I would look at Sheikh Joe Bradford. There's also a brother that I was following on who I really was impressed with. He is a really good crypto expert. I mean, he had a lot of knowledge about crypto. He's a brother. Let me see if I can pull up his information very quickly. His name is Mu'tasim bin Uthman. Al-Mu'tasim bin Uthman. He is part of PortoloSpringsCapital.com. He doesn't. I don't know what his handles are, but I know he's on Clubhouse. I was listening to him the other day. But Mu'tasim bin Uthman. I don't know if he's on Twitter or whatever. But the email is PortoloSpringsCapital.com. Let me see if I can type that out here. MB at Chola. I think that's what it is. Let's see here. Portola Springs Capital. Yeah, that's what I have. But you can probably maybe want to get at him and try to see if that might help. But anyways, so yeah, but don't quote me on that with Sam. I'm not a sheikh, so I can't comment on that. Ahmed Nu'man, forex trading with leverage on interest swap free account. You know what? I'm not a finance guy. I'm not into forex trading, so I'm sorry. I'm not the guy to answer for that. I apologize. I can't. Allahu Adam. Maybe we'll bring Sheikh Joe Bradford or Sheikh Amir to answer some of those halal, haram questions in terms of that. So I can't really answer that, but I know with Bitcoins, just simply buying and selling Bitcoin in itself and leveraging on, I'm not sure, depending on how you do leverage it, but Bitcoin in itself and other cryptocurrencies that use staking, these are halal from my understanding. The North American, like Muslim American Jurist Council has deemed it halal. There are many mashayikh across the world who have made it, who have given their verdict on it, and I don't see I mean, there are some conflicting opinions, but again, the evidence for make it being halal are stronger from what I can tell. But so with that out of the way, to be honest, people are probably wondering, should I buy right now? Bitcoin is at 57 or 56,000. I don't know what it's at right now exactly. I think I can check right now, but it's at 57,000, I think 800. Now, almost going to be hitting $58,000. Is it something smart to buy? That's always the question, right? Do we buy Bitcoins right now? Well, let me ask you this. When it was like 3 years ago and Bitcoin was $20,000, do you think it was too high to buy Bitcoin at $20,000? You're probably kicking yourself right now and saying, well, no, it's not too high, right? Like at that time, it seems high because it's unimaginable, right? But when you come into the mindset and understand that Bitcoin only has 21 million coins total, and that there will be we are a little over 18.5 million coins that have been mined. There's only less than 3 million coins left. When that happens, Bitcoin, the price will hit the millions because of rarity, right? It is an asset. It is a stored asset. So you're going to have a rarity that will increase its value and the demand for it. Most people who are buying Bitcoin now, the big whales, the big banks, the investment funds, the hedge funds, the banks, Fortune 500 companies that are diversifying, they're not keeping their Bitcoins in a platform. They are putting it into cold storage. They are putting this and locking this away. If you look at any of these major platforms, Coinbase, Binance, Femex, Gemini, whatever it is, GDAC, whatever these people are, all the old ones, new ones, KuCoin, Kraken, whatever it may be, you will see that the number of Bitcoins available on those platforms to buy is decreasing daily and daily and daily, right? So that is the issue here. So Muhammad Jindallah, with all due respect, there are many ulama, the majority of them have come out and said it's halal. I would refrain from just giving blanket fatwas. I mean, unless you're a sheikh, if you are, you're welcome to come on the show. But the North American Muslim Jurist Council, they have made it halal. I've consulted with numerous sheikh that I have considered close to me that are experts in finance, have written books on this stuff. There is no indication that it could be halal. Bitcoin in itself, other cryptocurrencies can be questionable, but I will take their opinion. With all due respect, if you have a different opinion, no problem. I suggest that you follow the mashayikh that you follow, and that's perfectly fine with me too. There can be khilaf on the issue, but yeah. I am of the opinion that Bitcoin is halal, and I advocate, and I think that it's a way that Muslims will, alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, call me Papa. I believe that it's a way that Muslims will achieve economic independence and be completely break away from the typical 9 to 5. There's a massive amounts of wealth to be made here. No, not entirely. Based on in Islamic history, there have been many things that have been used for currency. And intrinsic value, blockchain does have intrinsic value. It means something because it's stored information. It is data that we use. I mean, the fiat currency that we use is not intrinsic in any value. It's a paper form. It's not really a sovereign guarantee. Is not intrinsic, but we use it, and no one will condemn it for that. No one will say it's haram to use the American dollar or the Zimbabwean dollar, right? These things are simply not. These are things that are based in. It's considered to be mal. Bitcoin is understood as mal because people look at it as wealth. That when between people transacting, they understand to be something that is going to be tradable. They see value in it. Now, if you're talking about volatility of the coin, that makes no difference in terms of the Shari'i perspective. Things are volatile. There was a wonderful hadith mentioned about this where some Sahaba asked the Prophet ﷺ to, don't quote me on this word for word, but he asked him to regulate the markets. And the Prophet ﷺ says that, this is Allah is the one who controls these things. I can't fix these things for you. So it is the one Allah who appoints these fixed things. So we don't worry about the volatility of it. This is, it is what it is, right? But anyways, if you want to argue, I'm not going to argue with any further. If you don't want to be involved in Bitcoin, that's your point, by all means. But I differ with all due respect. Hold on, you know what, Master? No, we're going to talk about Clubhouse in a second. Let's just get back, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a second. Which trading platforms do you prefer? So I use Coinbase. I use Coinbase Pro. I used to have Binance, but being in New York, they didn't let me use Binance anymore. I had to move stuff out of that. But I use Femex.com as well too. I do trading on that at spot price buying as well too. There is some leverage trading that you can do on Femex that I like to use. But again, there are plenty of tutorials out there. I can give you some good guys that I follow. Excuse me, on YouTube, and they have great tutorials on what to do. One guy I like to follow. He's a German guy living in Dubai, Crypto, and there's another guy called The Moon. You guys, these are some of the guys that I follow and they're very, very good. All right. So I heard Al-Azhar fatwa saying it's haram. How can you navigate the haram and halal? So what I would say is this: that go to a trusted scholar that you believe. Right. I'm not going to argue the issue of what one sheikh over the other sheikh. But I have done my own research on this, and I've seen what some justifications that some of the mashayikh give that are opposed to it. And I think majority of them who are opposed, they don't understand how it works, right? They think that it's something from nothing. It's controlled by some anonymous person and this and that, right? There's some there's a lot of ignorance about what cryptocurrencies are. And it's very seldomly have I seen someone who's educated from the, as a sheikh talking about what Bitcoin is. The ones that are educated on what blockchain technology is, they don't seem to have a problem with it. And that's why I tend to go to, a few of the sheikhs that I trust and close, and I've asked them, and I don't see, an issue with that. And when it comes to finance, one of the guys I really do look at, and I look towards is Joe Bradford, Sheikh Joe Bradford, and I think that he's made a case that there's Sheikh Abdul Wahab that was with him on the live stream as well too. And he makes a very good case as to why Bitcoin in and of itself is halal until proven false, until there's something else going on. Because you can't. I don't want to get into the details of it. No, well, I mean, even if the guy is anonymous, but Bitcoin it's not controlled by an anonymous guy, right? It's controlled by a public ledger by people that are out there that can be verified by millions of nodes. So no one person can control this. It's completely autonomous. It's verifiable and it is completely transparent. Not one person controls it. It's actually decentralized. So which is one of the benefits as to why people why they like it, right? That's why banks, were so negative, right? In 2008, I'm sorry, when the U.S. economy crashed and the global economy crashed. You know what I mean? Then like we saw banks just going out of, going out of business and saying we don't have your money anymore. And we can see the weakness in terms of the American dollar, right? So yes, that decentralization is what was appealing to many people. All right, Muhammad Jindallah, if you believe that all four Sunni school fiqh is haram, then that's no problem. You can take an opinion. I don't believe that's the opinion. From what I've looked into, Imam Malik, rahimahullah, himself even talks about, even roof shingles being used as currency, even leaves, hide of cattle. So if you have an opinion on that, that's your opinion, and you can take that, inshallah. This episode is probably not for you. Are you back for? Yeah, I'm gonna be back for in the shower right now, so I should be back on a regular schedule now, inshallah. Yes. Is it possible that it will become centralized in the future? I think it's opposed to what we have. I mean, the very essence of Bitcoin, right? I mean, the very essence of cryptocurrency. That would mean that a central body would have to regulate it, and that would be kind of hard to do when you have multiple nodes in hundreds of different countries and people that are involved in this, right? It's a open source platform, right? So I don't see how this could be something centralized by any one body. They can have an organization of like a peer-to-peer network that works to regulate and try to they do have developers that will constantly try to make the verification better and things like that, but they can't change the value of it. They can't affect the price of it. They can't create new coins. They can't, do you see what I'm saying? They can deal with issues on like what to do if this happens, right? Like, but I mean, everything they've tested, every scenario, Bitcoin has been built to handle it pretty much. I mean, it has not been, there's no scenario it's reached where Bitcoin had not been able to solve it and been able to use it itself. No, I don't think so. Yusuf Sayed, are you familiar with the paper wallet? You can literally put everything onto a QR code on a paper wallet, and believe it or not, if Bitcoin is a stored asset, after a solar flare, you will see very quickly that QR readers will be very quickly and very easily made. It's not a problem. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I don't think that, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. There's cold storage and offline storage, completely off data storage. So I don't believe that's the case anyway. And by the way, if a solar flare to that extent happens across the whole wide world, where every single node is off and off grid and it's completely destroyed, the world is ending, Yusuf. So I don't really care about Bitcoin at that point, anyways, right? I mean, at that point, I don't really care. We got bigger things to worry about. Do you see anything that is similar to Bitcoin because they can only afford a couple of grand? So my thing is that don't worry about owning a whole Bitcoin. Very few people own a whole Bitcoin. You understand that there's something called dollar cost averaging, right? You can use something. There's one called Swan Bitcoin. They do actually dollar cost averaging. Look into them. It's a very good platform where you can commit like $100 a month or $200 a month. They divide it weekly, and they will find the best. They trade and they find the best time to invest your money into Bitcoin. Then you actually physically hold Bitcoin, and so that's one way to do it. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. By the way, if you hold 0.01 Bitcoin today, which is about $600, if you hold that for 10 years, it'll be worth some good money. The trick is to be consistent. Don't drop like 10 grand right away. I've done that because I'm familiar with the market. You have to be, familiar with it, right? And you build an asset. I've built, profits from it. But I started off putting in slow, like a couple $100 every month, right? I didn't like just dump all this money into it, right? You never want to do that. And there's a couple of reasons. Let me talk to you about that as well too, because in investing in anything, whether it's a business, whether it's your personal self, anything, even money, but anything usually with money, with something on the line, there's a huge emotional element here. And I would say investing is about 50%, emotions, because when you see price fluctuation, when you see markets go up and down, there are highs and lows, right? And if you are affected by these lows and you panic, we call them paper hands, right? When the market goes down or it starts dipping a little bit, they start tossing, selling, liquidating everything, right? And they just get freaked out. And there's people that are, when the market goes high, they don't know when to take a profit, right? They just get too greedy, right? So you have to understand that the market goes up and down. And if you're going to invest, it's going to be an emotional roller coaster if you check every day, every minute, every hour, right? You should understand if you're investing in Bitcoin, that it's going to be a 10-year plan, right? You know that in 10 years, it's going to be worth a pretty, a large, it's going to be worth a large sum of money. And that's my goal. My end goal is that in 10 years, I know that this is going to be worth a few $1 million, right? I know this is proven. right? So in that regards, I think that if you're going to get involved with Bitcoin, when you invest at a gradual amount, that the anxiety is less. If you put versus putting like $10,000 to $15,000 down right away, and then saying, and your life savings or money that you need, right? That is stressful. You're worried about it. Like, oh my God, is this going down? Is it going up? Do I need the money? Right? Things like that, right? So you have to take that into consideration. That's why I say invest slowly and gradually, and only invest what you can afford to lose. Meaning, don't invest your lunch money. Don't invest your kids' funds. Don't invest your rent money, right? Don't do that. If you need to, only invest what you can, even if that's $1, even if that's $4 or $10 or $100, but only invest what you can afford to lose, right? That's the idea. Don't invest in anything else besides that. But let me see here. The problem with Bitcoin is the value is based on US dollar, meaning the value is directly dependent on the state. Well, not really. When the US dollar is weak and the Bitcoin price goes up, it's a hedger, right? It hedges. It's something we hedge against. For example, like when gold goes up when the US dollar is weaker with higher inflation, right? So you can trade Bitcoin into, I mean, there's a tether coin, like a US dollar tether, which it does. I mean, certain markets and exchange uses that, but you can do it with the euro, you can do it with yen, you can do it with whatever you want to do it with. I mean, it doesn't really matter, right? It is like gold. It is a stored asset, right? So it's not pegged to the dollar, right? If that was the case, then we would see a 1-for-1, right? Or something like that, or like some type of movement. But it is a something to hedge against, right? So when we see the dollar go strong, Bitcoin may be weakened, right? We don't know that for sure, but if we're going to assume that it's like gold, Bitcoin may drop in price. But if we see the dollar being weaker, we see higher inflation, we're going to see Bitcoin go higher, right? Because it is a stored asset, right? So I'm not entirely sure that it is connected to that. Is that Qatari and Clubhouse man mission is to recruit young people to betray the country? Okay, well, we'll talk about that, Matthew. You seem very anti-Clubhouse for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe we can, we could talk about that. Anyways, one suggestion to do a podcast with Faithist. He had a lot of subscribers. I think it would be fun. Or with or without. I don't know who that is, but yeah, let me try to get him on. Let me see here. Alaikum assalam. Hold on, what do we see here? We got you. When are y'all gonna do a Man show on the N1 Times Caliphate podcast scandal? Yeah, we gotta take a look. I honestly don't know too much about it, about that scandal, but I will take a look at it and I will see what's going on. I'm honestly blank about it. So if you have any links or anything, you can just hit me up on Twitter or whatever and let me know. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Millatu Ibrahim Hanifa. What's up, my brother? How you doing? I hope you're doing well, inshallah. Hope you're doing well. Today Bitcoin with that 55K, it is worth entirely based on the government-backed currency. No, not government, because I can trade in any currency I want to. If I want to trade that for other crypto, if I want to trade that for US dollars, if I want to trade that for gold, I could do that. Do you know that, Yusuf? There are certain platforms you can exchange Bitcoin for gold. It's not pegged to any specific currency. It is a currency of and of itself. So it's just like Forex trading. You can trade for equal value of it. I think you should go back and take a look at what Bitcoin really is. It doesn't have an intrinsic dependency or a direct dependency on the US dollar. I think that you're kind of mistaken with that. I suggest to invest in gold, silver, land, and properties. Yes, gold and silver are definitely good to invest in, but again, I do hold some gold, but it's just nowhere near the amount of profits you're going to get. Gold is very limited in terms of what you can buy, and silver itself is overproduced, and then land and properties is very expensive to buy for most people. You can't gradually acquire land, and most people have to deal with riba and take bank loans and things like that, especially in countries where in the West, it's not so easy to acquire land and properties. Plus, it's very expensive to maintain land and properties. You're talking about property taxes, and if you have land, you have maintenance expenses, you have things like that. It's very expensive. But gold is definitely something to hold. Always have gold in your portfolio. The problem is that I think we only have like 300,000 metric tons of gold that have been mined since the beginning of mankind. And there's just not enough gold to go around. Most of these people who are holding gold, they actually don't hold gold. They hold, a representation of gold. They hold a share of gold which they don't physically own anyways. They're like options and ETFs. So be careful of that too, because if you're thinking you're going to hold gold, you must actually hold that bullion yourself. Yeah, listen, Muhammad Jindallah. Yeah, but dinar and dirham does not mean anything. It doesn't mean gold and silver. That's what I'm trying to say. Dinar and dirham can be backed by anything. A Bitcoin can be dinar and dirham, right? Because dinar and dirham in of itself is Greek backed, right? They used copper. They used many different things. It wasn't just gold and silver. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I think you're oversimplifying this, and I think you should go sit with some of the scholars, right? I mean, I don't think this is. I mean, we don't have a single American system. We don't have a single currency today that we trade in that's that's solid, that is backed by gold and silver. Not one of it. I mean, just look at all the money we have in the world today. We only have about, I think, $9 trillion. No, I'm sorry, $7 trillion worth of gold in the market today in the world. We have far more than trillions of dollars of gold, right? Our markets were in surpassed trillions, right? We don't have enough gold to to back all the currency. They're just not feasible. We don't have that. I'm sorry that but I don't think you're oversimplifying it. I don't think you're providing a real tangible solution. I mean, that's fine if you want to make the argument, but that's not what the hadith is saying. But let me see. Right, exactly. The Prophet, it should be something equal for equal measure for equal measure. They used to trade in dates. They would trade in I mean, I'm not gonna really make a whole episode about this. If he doesn't want to listen to this, you don't have to listen to it, Muhammad Jindallah. You can you do what you want to do. I'm not telling you to invest. You don't like it, you follow your sheikhs, no problem. What if there's an alternative history, the podcast about alternative history, okay. How people are affected by the environment. Okay, yeah, definitely. If you can link me to him, man, I definitely love to do that. Pakistan has gold in Balochistan. That's why neighborhood. Well, not only that, Pakistan also has, and Balochistan has also the world's largest copper mine and reserves. There's lots of millions and billions of dollars of copper reserves in Balochistan. But I think Saudi Arabia and China and Pakistan have signed a joint agreement in Gwadar, in that port in Gwadar region, where they're trying to make it's gonna be part of the Silk Road. So hopefully that'll be a good economic improvement for that region in Pakistan, hopefully, inshallah. But yes, there's a lot of gold and copper and tungsten and silver, because you have this in certain of these mountainous regions. We got a question from Tupi. Assalamu alaikum. Question: what's your opinion on ADA Cardano? Think about buying a tip. Well, Cardano is something that has been proven to be something very smart. They have some smart contracts they're doing, very intuitive and very interesting projects coming up forward. I was reading about how there's a project going on with Cardano in Ethiopia, where they're trying to privatize people's informations and allowing individuals in Ethiopia, citizens, to monetize the information about themselves that they want to. So, if it takes off like in Africa like that, that's a big thing, right? That's a really big thing that could happen. And I think there's going to be a lot of good things around Cardano. I do think that a bull run for the altcoins in general is going to happen. But Tugi, my point is that this is my advice. And by the way, I should tell you guys this: I'm not a financial advisor, so don't take this as a financial advice. Do your own homework, do your own research. Don't just trust me. I'm just giving you what I do and my thoughts on these things. Remember, this is not financial advice, okay? But what you should do is, to be honest, is with altcoins, my strategy, in my understanding, is that altcoins make money, but they're never long term. In the end, in my understanding, Bitcoin has been king, right? It is the mother of all coins, right? So eventually Bitcoin is going to go up. And right now we're seeing all the hype around Bitcoin. If you know it's going to be going up, and when Bitcoin goes up, you see all coins drop, why am I investing in the ones that are going to drop? Now, you can make quick money, but I would never keep my portfolio in a long position in altcoins. For me, myself personally, I just don't see them to be something profitable. You can make quick money on it, and you can, move your positions out and be done with it. But I would not stay, I would not keep my money in there for a long period of time. But there definitely is an opportunity to make some money there. only way using metals would work is we'd be adding copper. Yeah, I'm exactly. And you know, a tin we can just use, you know, Coke cans. I mean, there's no point. I mean, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope you're well, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, my family, nice to have protected. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. Good to know Ibn Salim, Ibn Salim, I think. I hope you're doing well. Alhamdulillah, you're alive and well. And hopefully, inshallah, you'll stay well and COVID free, inshallah. Welcome back and good to have you in the live stream. UAE withdrew loans. I think we should invade Arabia and make someone the king of the entirety of Arabia. Yeah, you never know. You never know. I mean, you know, you never know. Like I know, like Tywin Lannister. Yeah, you never know. You never know. It could happen. Allahu Alam. Okay. If you could tweet that at me, brother, call me Papa. Or DM me it, that would be great. Or you know, just somehow get it because I'm not gonna get it from here. So just try to do that for me, inshallah. So anyways, now that we talked about Bitcoin and the whole march of the Bitcoin, let's go on to for the last segment of the show. Let's talk about Clubhouse. And I think the other brother on here was really adamant about saying it's a Qatari Zionist propaganda. So I don't know what exactly he's talking about in that regards. I don't see it being like something like that. I'm new to it, so don't quote me on it, but I'm new to it. But there are some very interesting conversations that are happening on Clubhouse and also some very strange ones, to be honest. Like I was on yesterday and me and Sim were watching this and then we were yeah. You can email at muzzybuzzshow@gmail.com. I think that's the one. Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, but yeah, I mean, that was the whole thing. I mean, so we had this conversation we're listening in on to, and it was like literally the title of it was so weird. It was like Muslim women, you know, I think like Muslim women and non-Muslim men, the forbidden love, something like that, right? Like it was just really strange, the title. And we're like, what the hell is this going on? So we're listening to this, and the whole thing was about like, you know, how it's tough and we have to empower the women and men are not good enough. The Muslim are not good enough. So, you know, you have to have this haram love. But I mean, they're not justifying it to be fair. They're not justifying that they're saying it. They made a disclaimer that it's haram for a Muslim to be involved with the non-Muslim man. But it's a very strange concept that you would call like it's almost like it's weird, like using the title forbidden love. It's like trying to say like, you know, like it's taboo, like trying to entice people to like think about it. And like, you know, like, I don't know. I felt like I feel weird when people use like terms like that for like clout, right? To like try to, I feel like it's used to tempt people, right? Like the forbidden love, like the forbidden fruit, whatever it may be, right? But, you know, rather than, I think some of these women holding themselves accountable, they were talking about, you know, men, you know, and how men, you know, you know how men were were the bad ones and how they were like this and they were like that, you know. I mean, and I just find it to be like it's a victimhood, right? And I found it to be like a place where, you know, they wanted to just excuse the behavior of, I'm sorry to say this, but indecent women, right? Women that were talking to men outside and like, you know, and like having these long conversations with men that they don't know about, you know, and especially like non-Muslim men, right? Like they don't have a future with, and, you know, they're having unreal expectations. They're probably chatting on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram and blah, 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 right? And they fall in love and whatever. You know, love is a natural emotion. I'm not faulting anybody for falling in love, but that's why you have to be careful who you talk to, right? Because, you know, sometimes your heart can fall into desire, right? I mean, desires happen. And so you have to be very, very careful. And so that is the consequence of having these haram relationships, right? Whether you're involved romantically or not, even platonically, you know, it can evolve into something that is romantic, right? And that is the problem, right? So rather than talking about the issue being forbidden and how to deal with it, why not talk about the issue that, you know, that the issue of like, you know, haram and halal. Like this is a direct result of you involving yourself into something haram, right? Now you're emotionally attached to something. It's even more difficult for you to leave something. For example, it's like an addiction. Someone who drinks alcohol, he gets to the point where he's now addicted to alcohol, right? You don't go saying, oh, you know, I empathize. Alcohol is, extremely addictive and it's hard. And I understand that, I mean, if you were just better, if there were better women out there, men wouldn't be drunk, right? No, we don't say that. We say, listen, the Quran says to stay away from it. Not to drink it, but stay away from that. Just stay away from these ideas. And they don't, instead of taking that route, right? I felt like they were trying to just reward and empower the women by saying, it's okay if you feel, it's okay that you did that, but it's important that you didn't, it's a good thing that you didn't get into that relationship, so you saved yourself. No, I mean, I know it's a little bit harsh, but I would say, listen, you should have not even been talking to this man that way. You should have understood that, this is not even allowed for you to do. And what's happening right now, the feelings that you're feeling right now and the hurt that you're feeling is because of the fact that you involved yourself in a haram relationship, right? That's simply what it is. With regards to, and the other funny thing I noticed on there too was that one of the sisters on there was saying that a woman who walks away from a haram relationship, or like chooses not, who's in love with a kafir man, maybe not haram relationship, but in love with a kafir man, and if she puts that love down, like, to her credit, she did say that, you have to understand that this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed, and Allah knows better why this love is forbidden, but you have to trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But she said, she went on to say something very interesting. She said, if you leave this love for the sake of Allah, that sacrifice is like the sacrifice of Ibrahim alayhi salam with his son, Ismail. And I'm thinking like, okay, wait a minute. Like, we're not going to compare you, giving up your love for a kafir or a non-Muslim man to the sacrifice of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, right? That's just like a way far out there, crazy, comparison. But I get the point that she was trying to make. But nonetheless, there are crazy conversations happening on Clubhouse. There was even one called, what's it called? Toxic masculinity and toxic femininity. And they had like 4 women on the panel and 1 man. And that man was, and by the way, it says the idea was that if a woman had her hand up, you had to let a woman talk, right? Like the man couldn't talk unless the woman were all done talking. And it was just like really weird, but they never really addressed toxic femininity. They kept putting it back on the toxic masculinity, which is very strange. It was very, very strange. And it was an awkward conversation. I try to get involved with something here and there, but it's just after a while, you can only take so much of these conversations, right? They're very cringeworthy. But if any of you on Clubhouse, we have a few, I think Mahin created a group, the Muslim Podcasters, or a group, and then there's a Mad Mamluk one too. I don't know if they're going to be permanent or not, but we're trying it out to see what it is. Some people have told us about Stereo, a different application that's kind of like that, available also to Android users and I think iPhone users. Unfortunately, right now Clubhouse is only available to iPhone users, so I don't know how that's going to work out. So again, I think we have a different conversation going on about whether who will take over the Arab lands and so forth and so on. To be honest, there's a lot of asabiya and a lot of tribalism that happens in the world today, whether you're Arab or non-Arab, or if you're Indo-Pak or non-Indo-Pak, or Somali or not Somali, African or not African. There's a lot of things. At the end of the day, we should understand, and we had a show with Hotep Jesus the other day. One thing that we highlighted to him was, or Sim did as well, was that the Islam transcends these borders of race, or these imaginary lines that we hold up, like race and color of the skin and tribes and gender and wealth and economic status, right? Islam is supposed to elevate everyone above that. And that's what I think this applies that to the way Muslims are today, right? And whatever comes to the Muslim world, if it's good, I believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will allow it to, will continue, inshallah. And that is whether it be from a Asian, whether it be from our Turkic brothers, whether it be from the Arab brothers, whether it be from Somali or African brothers, doesn't matter to us. As long as they're calling to La ilaha illallah and they're calling to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with and his messenger, and that's what we care about, right? At the end of the day, I could care less whether a man is over me, who is, darker than me, lighter than me, same race as me, different than me. It doesn't matter to me, right? As long as what they're calling to is al-haq. If that's really what the matter is, right? We don't have time. I don't have time to worry about this, Let me see. Sorry. What happened to TMM Discord? It's still there. We just need to get active. If you guys want to be active on TMM Discord, let me know how you guys feel about that. I definitely think that we could do that. I mean, it's definitely fun. I've spent some time on the Discord thing, and it's a very interesting app. Too many people don't have ideas or thoughts. Challenge leads to absurd way of thinking. Yeah, I mean, I think, there's a big, also, Ibn Salim, is that there's a plague of the progressivism, right, from the leftists. They are trying to push an agenda onto people in colleges and students, like critical race theory and feminism and progressivism, and the left is very active in certain spaces in academia and even outside. And they're conditioning them at young ages to believe that to believe in victimhood and to believe in racism and to believe in, reparations. And I mean, I'm not saying all those things are necessarily bad, but they are pushing a certain narrative around these subjects that are making, the younger generation passive and more lenient to things that we would consider to be wrong in Islam, and more understanding of things. It's more, a normalization of sins and haram activities, right? And that's a problem, right? Like, you're going to see, you're finding younger and younger Muslims on Twitter and stuff like this putting LGBTQ flags next to their name. Why is that happening? Right? I mean, saying, "Oh, we don't judge. Love knows no boundaries." Blah blah blah. Who are we to judge them? And blah 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 blah. Right? What are we teaching our kids these days? What are we teaching them? Unfortunately, we are teaching them that it's okay to tolerate this kind of behavior, and that that you cannot have a mind of your own. Unfortunately, if you disagree with parts of the left, they will cancel you. They will try to get you fired from your job. They will label you a racist, a homophobe, whatever, a bigot, a misogynist, whatever you have. And unfortunately, people are afraid to speak common sense, because that's just what's going to happen these days. They're going to label common sense as absurd. And unfortunately, we have to understand that we as Muslims have our own morality. It comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it comes from something divinely inspired, and we make no apologies for that, right? We should be perfectly comfortable saying that we respect what you want to do, but we respectfully disagree. We have our own way of living, and we're very proud of that. We don't intend to infringe upon you, but we don't expect you to infringe upon us. We don't like that behavior, and I think there should be no harm in saying that. But yeah. But let me see here. Let me see. Turkey is too secular. Afghanistan too tribal. I think you're talking about something else. Okay. When will the progressivism stop? Well, there is no end to progressivism, my friend. There is no progressivism to end. I mean, their end goal is to make people how do I put this? So that there's no more authority, so that it's a complete anarchy. You can do as you feel, basically, the left is built on this idea that whatever makes you feel happy, whatever it is, whether that is being a homosexual, whether that's being a transgender, whether that's being a a drug user, whether it's being a prostitute, whether it's being promiscuous, whether it's being, even in some cases they have incestuous relationships, or who knows what next, right? But the idea is that whatever it is, just do it. If it makes you feel happy, forget the collective communal ideas and, cultural understandings. Be an individual, embrace individualism, right? That's what they're trying to essentially say. And in my opinion, there is no end. The end is when everyone is broken away. Everybody is in the pieces and shambles, and you have a broken home and no religion and amoral, right? I mean, we have an immoral society, right? This is kind of what is going to happen, right? I mean, just look at societies where you have extreme progressivism, right? Extreme liberalism. They are chaotic. They are morally bankrupt. They have declining birth rates. They have record number of single parenthood. They have record numbers of STDs. They have, it's just completely, it's just completely, nothing appealing about it. It's down. The birth rate of progressivism and about in some places they're having less than one child on average, right? Which is crazy to me, right? So, dude says, are we hitting Bitcoin 100,000 this month? Good question. I don't think we'll hit this month, but I think we'll be close to the $70,000 range. But I think definitely within the next few months coming up, definitely. I think we're going to see somewhere in the 100,000 range in a few months forward. I think definitely by the end of the year we're going to see that. Let me see. Seeking truth is hedonistic society. Absolutely. Progressivism is practiced by failing civilization. If this was ancient times, there would be barbarians around the corner to genocide. Yeah, exactly. Progressivism only works when you have people who are willing to put a military in to protect you and give you, protect your freedom to be, quote, progressives and your ability to live the way that you want to live, right? That's the only way progressivism survives. Without the people who are, anti-progressives, who believe in traditional values, who defend your right to do what you want to do, those people are the ones that give you your rights, or defend your rights to behave stupidly and immorally, right? My question is, Mohammed bin Salman, an innovator, how did the Madakhila justify this? Well, the Madakhila have their own issue. Mohammed bin Salman has his issues. I don't support him. But to say that he is not, and to make praises of a leader like this, like some people of the Madakhila, within the Madakhila do, it is ghulu and it is extremity, and they need to repent from this. They need to correct their understanding of Tawheed, and they need to understand al-wala wal-bara much more clear. We don't make any blind praise of people, and we certainly don't make praises of people that are openly disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't do that, right? I'm not saying you have to call for khuruj or rebellion or fighting or whatever it may be, but you don't also have to praise them as well too, right? They're not deserver of praising, right? They are what they are. And Allah appoints people in front of people, for a period of time, and Allah is the one who has power at the end of the day. And these people should be mindful. Rulers of the Muslim world and countries in general should realize that Allah is the one who gives power, and the earth belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The earth belongs to God, and He gives power to whom He chooses, and He takes power from whom He chooses. All of this is a benefit, that has been given to them, and it can be taken from them just as easily, right? So that's my opinion. For example, Erdogan acts like a sheikh but wants to get in bed with China. Yeah, there are issues that people do things for they put the interest of their nation first, and in some cases their own agenda first, their own power, right? They put that first. And sometimes other issues align with what they're doing, and it happens to align with some of the issues that the Muslims are concerned about, and it looks like a perfect PR opportunity to, kill two birds with one stone type of scenario. But make no mistake, many of these leaders are bound by, and I don't want to be a total a-hole. I don't want to, make a blanket statement. Allahu alam what type of issues they have to deal with and how complex these things are. I've never been a ruler, so I can't tell you, how complex things are. But Allahu alam what the struggles are. But we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to guide them and to bring them to Islam, and to make them firm on the religion of Islam, and to do what's good for their, for themselves, for the akhirah, and for the Muslims. That's what we hope. At the end of the day, I would like to believe that many of them are Muslims, just maybe misguided, or they are in open disobedience. But inshallah, we all we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us all. More for president? No, I tend to be behind the scenes of Islam. I want to be working as a lobbyist, just paying off these dirty politicians that make them make them pay. I mean, let's pay them. I don't want to be involved in this voting system. I don't think it has any benefit. Mm. But we are coming up on an hour. So I think we're going to wrap up here. Guys, remember to, before you go, please hit this like button so it helps the algorithms, let people know that we're live, and it helps people that, it generate more traffic on the video. I appreciate your help in doing that. Let me read this for the last comment. However, Turkic countries see Turkey as Greeks, which they are. More, you probably have more Turkic blood than Turkish people since you are half. Yeah, I mean, so well, yeah, I mean, there are so I'm not actually a full 100% Uzbek, but like there were Moguls who came to India from my mom's side, and so I'm sure there's some degree of Turkic blood in there. But in reality, I mean, yes, I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, there's a huge mix within Anatolia in itself, right? There are so many different mixes of people that came in there. We cannot deny that the Illyrians, the Hittites, the Anatolians, the Turkic people that came in, the Greeks, I mean, there's so many, the Armenians, the Kurds. I mean, there's so many mixes of people that were there. So it's hard to deny that. And plus, you have to understand that the Janissaries, like, you had the Slavs that came in, like, and even for example, you have some of the Albanians and Bosnians and Circassians, and you have Serbs, and you have Bulgarians and Hungarians and so forth and so on, right? So there's a huge mix. But anyways, make sure to hit that like button for me, inshallah ta'ala. Make sure you guys hit that so you can help me get in the algorithm. And I will be making more and more regular videos right now. I'll be in the studio. I have the studio right now. So I will be temporarily right now. This would be a good place for me to make videos. So I will be doing it here now. I'll be making a video sometime later on, maybe in the weekend. I'll be doing another live stream, trying to put out some more content. If there's anything you guys want me to talk about specifically on an issue, make sure you guys drop it in the comment or get at me at Twitter at MortTMM. All that stuff is hit me up there, and that will be great. So yeah, I mean, I can definitely talk about all the stuff that you want me to. I mean, it depends on just let the suggestions come. But yeah, but on Facebook and Twitter at MortTMM. Make sure you hit that. On Instagram at Muzzy Buzz Show, and on YouTube, Muzzy Buzz is the channel name. So make sure you guys are tuned in next time. Make sure you guys set the alert so that way you guys are notified every time I go live. That way you guys know that we are gonna go live soon. But anyways, yeah, let me know the topics. I'll be going on with the guys from TMM probably in the weekend sometime. I think we have something planned this weekend. We're trying to get a few new good guests on there. We had Sheikh Abdullah bin Hamid, which is it was an awesome show we did yesterday, just on a follow-up to the Hotep Jesus one. So I think we have some good important stuff on that one, so check that one out as well too. And I think that is a wrap. So if you have any comments or suggestions, leave them down below in the comments. I will read them. I will get back to them. I will answer every single comment because I like the interaction. I want this to be something that we can interact with and we can have a conversation with and about. So make sure to do that after you hit the like button. So until next time, let's talk about it. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.